Hello and welcome back. I am so excited for today's episode because we very rarely hear about birth from a male perspective. And today I am joined by Noah, who is the author of soon-to-be-released book, Go Boil the Water. Noah is a husband, dad of 4, and has experienced birth in so many different ways. So from adoption to hospital births to home births. And today we are talking all about what birth looks like through a father's eyes and what he wishes that every birth partner knew, and why supporting your birth partner doesn't mean trying to control the experience. So welcome to the podcast, Noah.
Megan, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to get to chat with you and just our conversations we've had over the previous few weeks, just kind of leading up to this. It's exciting to get to share some different, hopefully my perspective, and just kind of have a good conversation along the way.
It's an absolute pleasure. And already we've been chatting for 5 minutes before we press record, and I just know it's going to be such a good episode because you're nuts.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit, yeah. I'll take that.
Tell us about your family, about you.
We have, I would say, a non-traditional story. We do have 4 children. Our oldest is 13 now, which is wild that I have a teenager and I've been a parent for that long. I don't feel old enough to have a 13-year-old. But she's incredible. No. And I thank you. I appreciate that. So, I'll give a little bit of context. So our birth story, our birth journey, our parent journey started with adoption, which isn't always the way most families traditionally start. This was really rooted. My wife and I got married right out of university. Okay, so we were really young when we got married. Feel very fortunate that I found my life partner at a really young age. And we had always talked about having a big family. We'd always talked about having, well, at the time, we're like, let's have 6 or 7 kids. And then we had 3, and we're like, maybe we'll stop at 4.
This is what I mean when I say he's nuts.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So we had fully intended on starting, to have a traditional family, get pregnant. And then when my wife was 23, she was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Had a massive tumor in her chest, anyway, there's a lot we could say about that, but the short version is we had to get her rushed down. We were living in California at the time, got her rushed down to Stanford University, got her admitted, and we found out after she'd kind of, had been admitted for a day or so, the doctors came to us and said, hey, it's really good you got her in when you did, because the tumor in her chest was growing so fast that she had about 24 to 48 hours and she would have died.
Oh my God.
Wild story. Like I said, we could probably spend just an hour on that. We won't. 6 rounds of chemotherapy completely rocked our lives at a very young age to really just have to face the reality of our mortality, her mortality specifically. But for me, I mean, losing my partner at a young age. And it's like, we really had to kind of literally stare death in the eyes at 23, 24 years old. And so she finished treatment. She's fine. She's now, she's now 15 years cancer free. Amazing. We're so thankful. But in that journey, we were talking with her oncologist and they said, hey, listen, you can't get pregnant right now. Because we told her we wanted to start a family. And, for obvious reasons, if the cancer were to return and different things, that's just, you don't want to take a chance. And so we had always talked about adopting. That we always kind of knew that was going to be part of our story anyway. And we just said, okay, let's kind of reverse the order. So we got connected with a great agency in California. We were matched with my daughter, Eliana, with her birth mom very quickly. We were in the hospital. She was born down in Bakersfield. We were in the hospital when she was born.
That's so lovely.
And to this day, again, we're so thankful. We have a very close relationship with her birth family. Whenever we're in California, we see her birth mom. She actually calls her birth mom frequently. Like, we have a very...
That's gorgeous, because that's not usually the case, is it, with adoption?
It's not. And a lot of times it can't be the case.
Yeah.
For different reasons. And, her birth mom is just an incredible, incredible person. And we've since
Oh,
gotten to meet a lot of her family. She has half siblings, and we've gotten to meet some of her aunties
oh,
and uncles,
that's
and
so lovely.
her biological grandmother before she passed away. So like, we're very thankful.
Yeah.
And that kind of kicked off this journey with us. But we were in the hospital the day we were born, the day she was born, and it was so interesting to she was born, and Eliana was in my arms when she was two
Oh,
hours old.
no.
But you don't get this whole part of the journey
Yeah,
of
no.
nine plus months of preparing. It was literally show up, and we
Yeah.
went home the next day,
Oh, it must have
and
been surreal.
we had a kid in our back seat. We're like, what
Yeah.
are we doing? We don't know what we're doing. We
It's like
don't know how
a
to do.
tale when the stork drops them at the doorstep. It's literally like that, isn't it?
Very much so. And
Oh,
so that kind of kicked this off of like starting parenthood in a way where we never actually had this preparation period going into
yeah.
parenthood. Um, and so it was that kind of kicked off this whole journey that we've been on.
The
And
birth,
anyway, let me pause there.
you'll find that the birth mother, when you viewed that birth, because you were at the birth, how was that? Like, was the
Well,
birth?
we weren't in the room during the birth. We were kind of out in the lobby.
Yeah.
Man, that would have been wild if we'd been
Yeah,
in the
I know.
actual
That's what I was
birth room.
thinking. Were you in the room? No. Okay, you weren't. So then
No,
your
no,
wife went on to fall pregnant.
she did, which we didn't know if she would be able to because of the just chemo and what the doctor said. And she was
Yeah.
given, not to give away too much of her medical history, she'd be fine with me sharing any of this.
Yeah.
I mean, she was given kind of an experimental treatment that they said, hey, we're seeing some success with this, that it preserves fertility,
Yeah.
because obviously chemotherapy can have massive effects on fertility.
Yeah. On everything. Yeah.
And so it essentially shut down her reproductive system, and I mean, basically put her into menopause at
Oh my
23 years old. But we were, yeah. So then about two years after that, we said, okay, let's give this a go. And so we got pregnant with our
God.
first, and had an amazing, I mean, full term pregnancy, and that turned into a second full term, and a full term pregnancy. And
Oh.
and our first two, we a lot of it was because of my wife's medical history, and also because the OB we had was kind of this really nice blend of medicine and crunchy.
Yeah.
Like,
Love that.
he's a good dude. He's a good guy. Yeah, he's a really good guy. Like, he was, our doula is one of our closest family friends. She's known Katie her entire life. She's now also a full certified midwife. She's a nurse practitioner.
Oh.
Like, she's amazing. She's the same way. She's kind of like this really great blend of like, hey, medicine isn't like evil,
No,
comma.
no, no, yeah.
There's also a more natural way to do this, and
Yeah.
let's go for that first.
I'm all for it. Medicine's there when
Uh,
you need it, but
100%. That's what it's there.
the
But
holistic
it's
front
why.
view is.
But it's wild. It's wild how medicine has really taken over. And if you look at, this was so interesting when I was writing the book, because you never really think about, how did we go from the transition that for forever it was home birth,
I know.
since the conception of time,
Literally day dot. Yeah.
and then literally in the last 100 years, it switched to, by about the late 1960s, it was 99% in America. It was almost 99% hospital births.
It's mad, isn't it? It is so expensive in America as well. I can't believe you
Yeah.
guys aren't all giving birth at
I
home.
know. Yeah, in America, it's insane.
I,
And so
it,
it's really fascinating to see, and for me to learn, like, man, how did we make that transition? And so much of it was from the inception of different drugs to make labor less painful.
yeah.
Okay, like, that became a thing, but then because of the drugs, it had to be done in the hospital. But then a lot of it was
Then
there
increasing the risk of further interventions because,
further interventions. Well, and then medicine started getting more advanced, and so as a byproduct of that, people started going more towards the hospitals. But then there was also, dare I get too much into my feminism justice, it kind of turned into a patriarchy system
at
where most of
100%. And ladies are literally losing their trust and ability in themselves.
exactly.
We
Yeah.
just have to fall back. I'm so passionate about that because
Yeah.
it's we're being conditioned to not trust ourselves.
Exactly.
And
Opposed to something that the woman's body has been naturally empowered to do
yeah,
for forever. Like it's what it's supposed to do. And that's what I experienced. Like that was my experience. And again, I fully claim coming into this, like I have no skin in the game.
yeah.
I am probably the least qualified person on the face of the planet to actually talk about home birth. But
Oh no.
because my life was so radically impacted by it, I'm from a partner, from a husband's perspective. That's why I do feel so passionate and
One.
qualified to an extent to talk to the men in the room, to the partners
Yeah.
in the room, to
This is
say,
where
listen, like you,
CEO are built. Like the
yeah,
CEOs are built through like experiencing it. Like your story and everything that you've been through and the fact that you're writing a book. Do you know how powerful that is? Like you're going to
yeah.
help people across the globe. Like
That's
it's insane.
that's the goal. And you know, I've had this birth. Dare I be? But I've had this in me I mean, since our youngest, since Amani.
Oh,
Because I was just so impacted. And I remember thinking, you know, 3.5 years ago, we travel a lot of the year, Megan. And so we used to live in East Africa and Tanzania, lived right at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro. I was the principal of an international
oh
school
my
over
God.
there.
Wow.
Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. But we were, you know, we still go back frequently. We just have so many close friends. And we were back there about 3 years ago. And I remember just standing in the backyard, and for like 3 hours, I was just recording voice memos on my phone and just like brain dumping this thing. And I came back in the house, and my wife, Katie, she's like, "What have you been doing?" And I'm like, "I think I have this idea. I don't, it sounds really weird, but I think I want to write a book about home birth." And she's like, "That's
What?
great. I think that's awesome. Tell me more about that." Um, and so, you know, it's been this progression, and it's really been in the last. We were with a group. We've been down in South America for the last 3 months, and we were just with this group, and I got connected with a couple of writers, and I've literally had the outline of this thing written for almost 2 years, and it's kind of
I
sat on my
love it.
desk, and it's kind of this. It's probably almost this like imposter syndrome, like who am I? Who am I? Who would ever care about what I have to
You are
say? Who am I to
Noah.
write a? Yes,
You-
thank you, Megan. And, and so it's just led to this progression, and it's been so exciting just as this thing has unfolded and obviously evolved over the last, you know, however many months now, to the point where it's like, hey, the book is written,
I
it's
can't
there, it's
wait to
ready to
read
go,
it. I'm so
it's ready to
excited.
go.
I'm
Yeah,
so excited.
but
I've literally got it on my to-do list to
I
read
love it. I can't wait. And I can't wait to
because
get your feedback. And that's what it is, because I know like our ideas are greater than just my idea. And that's why I'm trying to get this thing out to as many midwives. Like, please read this before I publish it. Like, I
it's going
know
to
that
be
there's probably
incredible.
gaps.
You just don't get a male's perspective on a home birth ever. And so many birth partners are going into the room feeling like a spare part, feeling like an
Yeah.
ironing board. That's how I describe
Yeah.
the twin, and they go stiff and they're like, everyone knows
Yeah.
better than me. But a male in the room, not even a male, a birth partner is the most important person in that room.
Yeah.
You are the comfort blanket. Like
Yeah.
support makes or breaks a birth, and you probably
Yeah.
agree. It's
Yes, absolutely. Well, and Megan, I totally felt that in your first two. So the
yeah.
first two going in, again, we already had a
If
kid.
they're
Like we
both
already had
hospital
one.
births, weren't they?
So our first two, our first two were hospital births. And I think like looking back, I think there was probably a lot of me, like I think I pushed that to an extent, because she did talk to me about home births. And I mean, she grew up in that community. I remember early on in marriage, we were talking about kids, and she brought up the idea of home birth. And like, I was that guy who looked at her and goes, huh? You, you do know we have hospitals, right? Like you do know that's where normal people have babies. Like home birth was something that they did on like Little House on the Prairie. Like
Yeah.
you do know that's not
Come
a
on,
thing
time
we do
to
anymore.
walk. It's yeah.
But that was never like that was not even close to the environment. I literally, like embarrassingly so, I didn't even know home birth was a thing people still did.
Oh,
I mean, like conceptually, you kind of know, like, oh yeah, I'm sure people who live in like the backwoods or wherever do that, because there's not, or like people in, you know, developing nations do that, and like,
I just think the majority of people don't do it.
They don't.
They
But I
don't.
think it's because most people don't know it's a viable option.
Yeah.
They think exactly the way I thought because we are pre-programmed from childhood that a hospital is where you go to have a baby
Yeah.
because
Well,
it's safe, because it's clinical, because if something goes wrong, someone's there to fix it.
and we all conform, don't we? You know, you're
Yeah.
born, you go to school, you start living a 9 to 5 life. Like we're
Oh, Megan.
yeah, we're conformed to believe that this is norm, and actually going against
Yeah,
the grain and going against the norm, you're then seen as weird. Like
I
quite
know.
often, people that have home births, you hear it, oh, she's a bit strange, and it's not
I know.
strange. It's
I
actually
know.
normal.
It's so my biggest takeaway from doing 2 hospital births and then to a home birth is, and again, this is just my journey. So like this is and all of this, I'm not hating on hospitals, like, but
No.
for me, the hospital was controlled chaos. That's what it felt like.
Hmm.
I remember with Cora, our first home birth. Her birth was really fast. We by the time we got admitted and all that stuff, I think it was like less than 4 hours. Like it was
Wow.
pretty quick, especially for a first birth.
Yeah.
Um,
Insane.
it was pretty quick. And she with Katie wasn't induced, all natural, no medicine, like no drug, like no painkillers or anything. My wife is just an absolute rock star. Um,
Yes.
and I just remember when like they're like you're dying, and like I didn't know, and like so much of this was like, oh my gosh, I could have been so much more educated on like the stages of birth and like all the like I just didn't know anything. I was just kind of like there as a like coat rack in the corner. I didn't know anything, and like our doula's like trying to be like, hey, push here on her back, and I'm like, okay. Um,
Oh, it's so
but I
good
remember,
though that you invested in a doula for your first birth, because
I
again,
know.
a lot of people don't. They think that a doula is just a glorified sort of birth partner, but there's so
Oh,
much more than that.
oh my gosh, I could preach on doulas. Like, get a
Oh,
doula. Please
yeah,
get a doula. Like, they are your coach. They are your support. They are your rock
yeah.
because and they have different roles. A doula and a midwife have different roles.
Yes,
They're different. They're different parts of the team. But
10
you
times.
have to get but you have to get the right members of the team if you want it to be successful.
Yeah.
And so I remember when Katie's fully dilated, all that. Okay, we're gonna start pushing, and it was like nurses, doctors, everyone's rushing around, snap to it, and turned into the
Like it's an
frick.
emergency.
Her bed turned into the freaking Starship Enterprise, and I'm like, what is going on right now? It's spotlights, it's stirrups, it's beds pulling out, and I was like traumatized.
Yeah.
And I don't say that hyperbolically.
And it
I
wasn't an
li-
emergency at that point. Like she was
no,
just about to push, right?
no. And no, not at all. Everything was going exactly as it
How it
should.
should, yeah.
And I was like just standing there wide eyed. What am I supposed to do? I'm trying to hold her hand, low key, just not trying to freak out and pass out the whole time.
Yeah.
And then we had a baby. And then they rushed the baby off. The golden hour is completely interrupted. Like,
Was
and
was the baby okay, or did
she
they
was great. No, I guess they did like rush her. I mean, they gave her to Katie, but it's like, shortly thereafter they do their tests and it's just different. And there was this level of urgency and
Yeah.
chaos and just the first two
Oh,
to the point where after,
it's
yeah.
oh,
And it was similar with Sebastian, our third child, but second biological. Sorry, I always have to like
yeah,
qualify with it's like we have four, but three were home births. And okay.
yeah.
Sebastian, it was similar. His ended up being more long drawn out. He was a flipper in utero. And so he kept flipping. The doctors had to flip him 5 times.
Oh
It
my,
was a
wow.
it was a hospital record.
Oh, what is he into now? Does he like flipping in the pool? And
Oh yeah. Oh no. We were
he's a
actually just
flipper.
talking. We were just talking about this last night. We were talking with my wife and my mother-in-law. We were talking about birth, the birth story and how like your birth story can like play so much into who you become later
Yeah.
on. And
Oh
it's
my
like,
God.
man, my son is just, in the best way possible. He is just independent and like fierce and adventurous. And it's like, I love it. He has so much of me, which is so interesting to like
Yeah.
parent yourself,
Oh,
as they're growing up. But when they flipped him the last time, the doctor said, okay, we can't, he's getting too big. We can't do this. We don't want you to deliver breech, blah, blah, blah. And he said, okay, go straight to labor and delivery. We're inducing you. And gosh, that was a completely different journey. It was
completely.
long and arduous and painful. It was like 20, 25, 30 hours and just
Oh.
different levels of stress.
And again, that's
Watching,
like they painted a picture that giving birth to a breech baby is not normal, but actually
correct.
it you can birth breech babies. It's another form
Yeah,
of normal. But because
exactly.
they don't do it often, it's seen as
Yeah.
unnormal because we have an unskilled workforce.
Yeah. Well, and because there are more complications that arise, they said, well, we would rather mitigate complications and induce you. But it's like, but that process in itself, it's like, why would you start something before it's actually ready to start? Why would you wouldn't take a cake if a cake is supposed to bake in the oven for 60 minutes, you're not going to take it out at 45
No.
minutes. It's not going to be ready. Like it's not, and again, that would be, I mean, that analogy doesn't completely
I
apply,
have
but
a
but
good
it's like,
analogy. The analogy I use is a farmer and his eggs. He's got chicks in these eggs. The chicks start hatching. He doesn't go up to the eggs and he starts like ripping the eggs open, like, come on,
exactly.
out you. He lets
Yes.
them be. And
Yes.
yeah, it's the same with birth. Like, let
Yeah.
it be.
And I remember when our midwife explained that to us, and she just said, it's like your body's going to know what to do and when to do it.
Yeah.
And when you allow it to do that at the right timing, something really wonderful and something unbelievably powerful and beautiful happens.
Yeah.
And that was Amani, our fourth. And it was, if I can make the simple contrast between the two home births and then, or I'm sorry, the two hospital births
Yeah.
and then the home birth was peaceful.
I
the
love it.
home birth the home birth was, now don't get me wrong, there's levels of intensity. Like birth
Oh,
is just intense. Like it like
yeah,
I like it's just, it is an intense event to go through. You are
100%.
pushing a human out of your body. That's
Yeah.
insane.
I do.
um
There's a lot of people out there, and a lot of birthing coaches and stuff that will say like you can give birth and it can be pain free. And I'm not.
mhm,
I am not that coach. Like I've given birth twice, and both times it was painful.
sure.
You can't
Yeah,
hide from that.
of
Um,
course.
there's definitely things that can help though, and like you're now going to say with your home birth, it was probably so different, and the level of
Yeah.
intensity and pain was probably so different.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'll let you.
Yeah. It's
You are.
it was, no, it was just, but like, so like intensity, it can have such a negative connotation. Well, it just depends on what connotation you put. The hospital births were intense
Yeah,
because for me especially, they were scary.
the
Like
environment.
they like I didn't know what was going on. It all felt so medical. It was just, it was uncomfortable. And
Yeah,
again, for me, after Sebastian's birth, it was traumatizing to me to the extent where I didn't even want to have the discussion about having more kids. That's part of the
oh,
reason why we have a 4.5 year gap between
wow, okay, yeah,
Sebastian and then Amani. Um, and I was at the point where I'm like, I don't know if I ever want to go through that again.
no,
That like scarred me. And, and so it was a lot for me to process going into it. And then, time goes by and, we start having conversations. Hey, what if we try what we were in Tanzania when we got pregnant. We
wow,
could
yeah,
talk about that, but like we very seriously considered delivering in Tanzania for a while. Like we were, like our leading idea for a while was I have a really close friend there who's very close with a Maasai medicine woman.
yeah,
And we were like going to go out to the bush and like deliver out there. Like that was,
wow,
and we decided against that for, for a variety of reasons,
yeah,
and decided to come back to the States. But with Amani, when she was born, it's just there's a different level of intensity. It's like, you think about the end of like a football match, or a
yeah,
basketball in America, different things, and it's like, there's 30 seconds left and you're down by one, and it's like there's an electricity. like
yeah,
like
yeah,
intensity can be electric and energizing. It's still, you're on the seat and you're like, you can't breathe.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But like that was the home birth. it was
yeah.
it was that it was that kind of intensity of like, everyone's kind of like, oh my
The
gosh, we know this is going to
psychic
happen.
intensity.
Yes, but our midwife just the whole time she just allowed Katie's body to do what it was supposed to do. Our doula was there the whole time with us. Um, we hit about our my wife's sister lived just up the street, and my in-laws were in town, and so the kids went up to their house at about seven
Oh,
o'clock at night, and we give hugs and kisses, and hey, you're gonna meet your new little sister tomorrow morning.
oh,
um and they were just all, they were young. They were, oh gosh, I have to think about it, 4, 6, and 8, the older
oh,
ones. And so they were definitely old enough to know what was going on. And, our midwife advised us very sagely to say, hey, you guys, you might want to go lay down for a little bit. Like, it might be in for a long night. And so we
yeah.
went, and,
What
but
a
it's
perfect
the,
date night.
it was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. But it's like, the difference of, like, in a hospital, you're sitting there pacing. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I remember pacing a
And when's the
lot
next
in the
thing? When's the
hospital.
next vaginal
Yes.
examination? When's the next check? When's the next this? But
Yeah.
actually, home birth, you watch and wait. You
Yeah. And we went, and I remember sitting down at the piano and playing piano for a while, and
oh,
going and laying down in bed, and we just kind of like fell asleep and woke up at about midnight, and Katie had been awake already. She'd been having contractions, and lovingly she let me continue sleeping, and I was just like, I was out of it.
oh,
Um,
so
but
lovely.
then it just kind of like, things just naturally progressed.
I
And
love
that's why, and I remember after Amani was born, I remember having this profound realization. She's born, we had a birth tub in our bedroom, and everything progressed pretty quickly, and we were getting the tub filled, and then our water heater ran out. And that was, I joke, and this is kind of where the title of the book came out of, was my midwife literally, like, not stressfully, but literally told me to go boil water.
I
And I'm like,
wondered
if
why
this
it was called that. I kept making up analogies in my head. I was like, I think because he's boiling the water for the midwife there.
and that's where it like kind of dawned on me. It's like, hey, this was the man's role forever. Like, the man's role was
Go
literally like, hey,
boil
go boil the water, to go give him something to do, get him out of the birth room, like, get him, like, stop, because the man wants to come in and fix it. Like,
I
we want to
love
come
that.
in, like, we want to come in and try to make this better. We want to come in and try to, like, solve the
With your
problem.
toolkit,
And
Bob the Builder. That's what I call him.
exactly, exactly. And
Oh,
so this concept of like, hey, go, like, hey, just like get out, hey, go do something
yeah.
that will like make you feel important. That will
Just
like,
go
and
boil the
she
water.
wasn't doing that to me, but that's where the
I
title of the book is
love
birthed out of, is
that.
like man, go do something. But it's like, listen, but sometimes sometimes being supportive, the most important thing you can do is nothing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The most
That.
important thing you can do is be present,
Yep.
is to stop trying to fix things, and to be the constant voice in her ear that
Yeah.
says, you can do this, that says, you've got this, that says, you're powerful, you're strong. Like, that's the most important thing that you can do in that situation.
Yeah.
And after Amani was born, I just had this profound realization for the first time. People always talk, oh, the miracle of birth. Oh, birth is so beautiful. And I was like, screw that. Like, what is this mess? Like,
Yeah.
this is a lot. And after Amani, I got it.
Yeah.
I finally understood it. Like, oh,
And
this is profoundly, like,
incredible.
spiritual,
Yeah.
beautiful, magical process that
Oh,
we just went through. And it shifted everything for me. It,
I
it
love.
it changed my entire perspective.
I was going to ask you, like, what the biggest mistake you think that birth partners make, and also share my view on that. And I think what a lot of men do is they treat the birthing person as somebody that's sick, like
Mm,
somebody that's ill.
yeah.
And they're not ill. It's a beautiful process that's unraveling. And actually, the more that we treat the birthing person as a victim, they then go into themselves, like, not into them,
Hmm.
they see everything as a problem. And actually, we just have to trust and allow them to be. And that's when birth unravels so beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think your biggest?
I think the biggest mistake most men make is being passively supportive. And they come into it saying, oh, well, this is her choice. Oh, well, this is what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
and
I think I'd
they
murder
don't.
my husband if he said that.
Yeah, yeah. But I think there's a lot of men, and again, I think it's out of ignorance, and they just don't know what they don't know, and
Mm,
they don't realize that, like, no, you play a profound role in this. And
one-
also, please hear me, like when I say, like when I say men, and this is how I wrote the book too. It's like I say this from the perspective of partners. Like there's so many different
oh my
ways
God,
and
yeah.
so many different journeys of this, of like what that experience looks like. But I think the partner can what's the word I'm looking for? The partner can unintentionally self-sabotage a lot of what's going on
Yeah.
if they don't come in saying, if they come in with the idea of, wife comes, hey, I want to have a home birth, and they're like, okay. Or like when a family member says, you're gonna she's gonna have a home birth, and they're like, oh yeah, well, that's her choice, like that's
Yeah.
just what she wanted to do. And you unintentionally kind of create this thing of like her and you,
Yeah.
versus it should be us together.
Together. Yeah.
And there's a line I talk about in the book, because I talk about this whole thing of like what do you do when you're sitting down on the couch and you said, so I think I want to have a home birth. What's your first reaction in that? And
Mm,
if your first reaction is anything other than tell me more about that, it's probably gonna lead into maybe a much harder conversation. But if you have no grid for this, and
yeah.
your reaction is like, I want to hear more, okay, now you're inviting a conversation to hear her heart.
Yeah.
Now you're entering into a process together where, listen, you do not have to, as the partner, you do not have to have all the answers. You
Hmm.
do not have to know everything. But odds are she's probably been thinking about this for a really long time.
Yeah.
Years, if not, you know, since childhood.
Yeah.
But
Love that.
men, we think about a lot of things in regards to babies.
Yeah.
It's usually more on the making them
Amazing.
side. That's that's
Yeah.
that's
My partner
usually
thinks
more.
that every day.
Yeah, that's usually more where our brains gravitate towards. But like the birthing side, that's not exactly something that like a 20-year-old guy's thinking about, of like, I wonder what my birth journey is going to be like. What, like, we
Yeah.
don't think about that.
Oh my God, I
And
have chats so often with clients because they're like, my partner just really, they're not interested. And I'm like, of
yeah.
course they're not. They're not holding the baby. They don't have these hormones going through their body.
Hmm.
They don't think
Yeah.
the same. And
Yeah.
again, people come to me and they're like, is this course something that I do alone or do I do it with my birth partner? I'm like,
Oh gosh.
do you want the honest answer from me? Because
Hmm.
your birth partner's not willing to prepare with you and learn about the biggest day of your entire life, a day
Hmm.
shape you and change you forever, then you've married the wrong person. You're with the wrong person. You've
Yeah.
chosen the wrong birth partner. And
Yeah.
it's hard to hear sometimes for some people, but you have to be brutally honest sometimes and actually say, don't bring them, bring
Yeah.
someone else.
Well, because if you have someone in that room who's not prepared to be in that room, who doesn't understand what's going on in that room, it's just going to cause chaos. And
Yeah.
that environment, even from a biological level, when
Mm,
you start inducing stress, that slows labor down.
mhm.
When you like that doesn't produce a conducive environment
No,
for peace, for harmony. Like it just doesn't work. There's this, you really have to be careful of who's in the room with you. There's a lot of people where they're like, I want my friend to be in the room, or maybe a mom or a mother-in-law, or somebody else. They want somebody else in the room, but you've got to think about, how does that person handle stress? How does that person take instruction? Have you talked with that person about what their role in that room is actually going to be? Katie's sister was with us. Now I'm looking back. She wasn't with Cora, our first biological, because Katie's sister, Katie and her sister were both pregnant at the same time, and
oh
Cora and
wow.
her cousin are just a couple of weeks apart, which is really
Oh
sweet. Um, but with Sebastian and then Amani, Katie's sister was there with us, and she's amazing. Katie's sister's incredible,
yeah,
and she just added to that level of peace and
yeah, that's
um
good.
and just joy in the room. But like, there's other people where it's like, not that they were asking to be in the room, but I'm like, oh, that probably wouldn't have been a good person to have in the room. Like, I don't think they would have known what to do. They would have been,
Like they're, they feel like they have to invite their mum. I
yeah,
think that's one. I don't know where that came from that your mum would come to your birth, but
I know.
I I couldn't imagine having my mum there. And actually, it was COVID time when I had my first
Oh,
baby, and we were only allowed one birth partner. Some
hmm,
people were given birth without a birth partner, and I was
wow.
allowed one. So obviously, that was going to be my husband. But I can remember my mum being really disappointed that she couldn't be there. But
Hmm,
thinking about it now, I don't think my mum would have brought calm.
yeah,
Um, I don't think she would have brought chaos, but I don't think I'd feel comfortable with all of my bits and bobs out. And
sure,
actually,
sure.
yeah, if you don't feel comfortable with the person that's in the room, then they shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And it's nothing on her. It's just how you feel.
It's knowing your team. And
Yeah,
it's knowing who are the right people that are supposed to be there and who are the right people that are supposed to be active and playing a role. And if people have an active role, then that's great. But you're not going to like, you can have someone who like you like is great and you really care about, but
yeah,
they don't have a freaking clue how to play basketball. Well, great. You're not going to put them on the team. That would be
no,
stupid. Like, why would you do that? Like,
yeah,
you can still love and care about them, but
yeah,
they might not hold that role. And so I just think with especially the partner coming into this, there's just there is this active support or passive support.
yeah,
How are you actually coming in, and are you championing, are you being the champion of the person who is going to do this? Because at the end of the day, this was not my journey. This was my wife's journey. Three
yeah,
different births. This was her journey. I was there to support her. I was the Samwise to her Frodo, if we
yeah.
can throw in a Lord of the Rings reference. I wasn't, it wasn't my journey. It wasn't my burden to carry.
She's the
But
bread and you're the butter.
thank you. But I was there but because I chose, and it is an active choice.
Yeah,
The first couple of births, I was kind of a fly on the wall. I didn't quite know what to do. I didn't know what my role was. I
mm,
look back at things I could have done differently, and it's not like I was sitting in the corner scrolling on my phone. Like
no,
it's not like I was doing that, but it was kind of just like I froze so
yeah,
many times just because I didn't know what the next best thing was. And
yeah.
sometimes the next best thing is giving a word of encouragement. Is Sometimes it's shutting up and not saying anything at all.
Oh
Sometimes
yeah,
it's just
for my
just
husband.
hey,
It's like, stop
yeah, just
breathing.
yeah, just stop. Like
Yeah,
one of I was able to part of the research for this book is I just got this survey out to a lot of moms, midwives, doulas, fathers, and say, hey, I would love your perspective. I would love your thoughts. And um, I would say one of the most resounding things that the mothers who'd gone through a home birth said was so often was just like, just be close, but just stop. Like, be
yeah,
close, but just stop talking. Like, I don't like if I'm going internal, that doesn't mean you have to fix me going internal.
yeah. No, it's a incredible. I can feel like I can remember being in birth, and even though you have people around you, you it's almost like you're in a whole other world.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
Mate, it's such a euphoric feeling. Like I do it over and over again, and your
Yeah.
wife probably says the same. She'd give birth
She does.
over and
Well,
over.
and after years of watching her go, through chemo and all the treatments and everything with that, which, many of them were immensely painful and different things she had to have done. She just goes into this like inner chamber. Like
Yeah,
she just goes so, and she processes that so internally. And it's you look at the ways I'm very much an external processor, she is an internal processor. Like, if I have something going on in my head, like, I've just got, like, I gotta talk about it, versus like, and this was stuff like I remember early on in our marriage, like, we had to like work through, because
yeah,
like something would happen and she would just kind of like go quiet, and but because she would be, I didn't realize she was processing just internally. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, did I say something? Did I do something? And finally she's like, no, like, I'm not mad at you. Like, I'm just like, I'm working through this thing in my own way.
uh,
Um, But seeing her in birth, it's just like she just like goes into this internal place of just like almost this meditative state.
It's
Um,
amazing. And I
it's
do find
incredible.
that prep has a massive play of that, like learning how
Yes.
your body works, learning what to do to support your body, boost the
Yeah.
hormones, have a birth part. I think so many people brush over preparing because they're like, well, what if it doesn't go to plan? But it's even
Hmm.
more reason why you should prepare.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
you didn't
If
have
it,
you didn't plan for an induction, did you? But actually
no.
having the tools and techniques and the
Yeah.
support going into it massively probably changed how that situation actually did pan out.
Oh,
Um,
completely. Completely. Well, and again, in having our doula there, even for the hospital births,
hmm.
and it's like, like even if people have a hospital birth, like
Have a
get in
do.
touch with have a doula,
Yeah.
because a doula has a different job than the nurse and then the doctor.
Yeah.
They have a different role. And I just remember with Sebastian, it was just this long process, and she was just so solid the
Yeah.
entire time. She was so encouraging, so supportive. But
Oh,
the plan, it's like, no, I completely agree. If you don't have a plan going into it, you're just going to be winging it the
yeah.
entire way.
I hate
Oh my gosh. Well, it just doesn't produce good results. It doesn't
it.
have a plan, but be able to deviate from the plan. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's fine to do. When we found out we were pregnant with Amani, the irony is we had just renewed our 2-year visa to stay in Tanzania for 2 more years. And we kind of had to have this really real conversation of like, are we going to stay here? Are we going to go back to the States? And it was a really hard choice. And we could have had the baby and then moved back, and like there were a lot of different scenarios, but we just kind of got to a point where we said, hey, listen, I think we'd been in Tanzania for about 3 years, and said, I think it might be time to come back to the States. But as I mentioned before, we used to live in California. Well, when we moved to Tanzania, we sold everything. We sold our house, cars, boxed everything, few things
Right.
up, moved them into storage. And so we didn't have anything out there anymore. And so we went through about the first trimester of her pregnancy, literally having no idea where we were going to go. And
Wow.
our leading idea was we were going to get like a tow behind like trailer behind a truck and like live out of that with 4 kids. Like that was our leading idea. We're like,
I
we don't
love
know where to go. We have no idea where to go. And we ended up landing in Kansas City, central middle of America, Kansas City, where we had family there. My sister-in-law lived there, and we had a place to we had some rental properties, and so we had a place. One of our renters moved out, so we had a place to live, and we're like, all right, we've never lived in Kansas City. All right, new adventure. Let's give it a go.
Yeah, it's fun.
But we moved, and they talk about leading stressors, like top things like moving and having a baby and
Yeah.
remodeling the house and being unemployed. And it's like I was all four of those. We were all four of those things at the because I had to step down from my job at the school, and it was just like, this
Oh,
is a super stressful transition season. And we moved to Kansas City, and we had no midwife, we had no birth plan. Katie was just about to enter into her third trimester, and
wow.
we had no idea. And we amazingly, through an incredible string of events, got connected with Gloria, our doula our midwife in Kansas City. And I
Oh,
remember sitting, and this was still like, I was still a little bit on the edge about home birth. And are we going to do this thing? Okay, I guess we're doing this
didn't have a
thing. And
home.
yeah, we don't even have a home. I'm like, our home is in shambles. Like our kitchen is
We'll
completely
do
torn
it in the
apart, and I'm
trailer.
remodeling. Yeah, like this is great. We'll figure it out. But I remember sitting in her in office. They have a house that they have converted into their midwifery clinic. Is that
Yeah,
what it's called?
that one.
I suppose clinic sounds so clinical.
Yeah.
But that's where they operate. Just they have a house, and I remember just like sitting in the room with her, and this is where that like first wave of peace, and she just like answered all of my stupid ridiculous questions like
Oh,
so calmly, and she goes, oh yeah, this and this. I'm like, oh yeah, that's not a big deal. And I'm like, I just had this wave, and I just started crying, and I'm like, I'm not a crier, but it
oh,
was just this wave of release of like, I finally feel like we are
supported.
where we are supposed to be, with
Yeah.
who we are supposed to be. And it was just so relieving. it
It's
was uh, it
finding
was
calm within you. Like,
yeah.
you're always going to have external pressures. You're always going to have
Yeah.
life happening. You're always going to have the dog throwing up on the sofa and your other kids getting sickness bugs and,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
boiler going wrong. There's always
Hmm.
going to be stuff. If you can find calm and trust within yourself, that's where magic happens.
100%. 100% agree. Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
what did your wife need from you that surprised you the most? Like what?
Mm, that's a great question. Um, she she's so like intrinsically driven that I knew she had everything under control. I think definitely going into the home birth, I think the biggest thing she needed from me was like my full uninhibited support, like
Yeah.
my full 100% buy-in. That like I have full confidence in this. I have full trust in this process.
Mm,
There is some unwiring and some like reworking of conditioning
mm,
when you're raised in a way where it is medicine answers our questions
yeah.
and doctors fix things, and like that is the culture that you're raised in your whole life. I was
Yeah.
not raised around natural homeopathic medicine,
No.
or I was never exposed to any of that stuff. I didn't know that was a thing. And
And
so there was like,
that's where medicine originates from. It's
I know,
like
I
it's
know.
just nuts that we're
Yeah,
so far away from reality.
I know. I know. And so I think for me, and I think for, partners in general, it's your full uninhibited support
Yeah.
of a trusting your partner, trusting that they're not making a flippant decision. They're not just making some, choice off of, oh, well, I saw somebody on Instagram do this. And it's like, no, that's
Yeah.
odds are that's probably not how they landed on this choice. It's been a long process, and
Yeah.
hopefully it's a process that you've been discussing for a long time. I hope it's not something you just get blindsided by. But going into it, understanding, like, listen, home birth is safe. Like,
Yeah.
it is a safe, viable method
Yeah.
to bringing life into this world. And any good doula, any good midwife, when you sit down and talk with them and you have concerns of like, well, what if something goes wrong? They're going to say, well, we have a plan for that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there is the reality, like things happen. Things do go wrong. Like we have very close friends. We have who have had home births, many of them multiple home births, and they have had to been emergency rushed to the
Yeah.
hospital. Like that's what it's there for. Like, but
Make
going back
that
to what we were
part
just
of
saying,
your
that's why
plan.
you have a plan.
Yeah, that's why you have a plan. And if you have to
Yeah.
transfer, you have to transfer. And
Yes.
it's just so I've had so many successful clients that have
Yeah.
gone through to have home births, probably 50-50. The ones that plan it, some of them end up having a home birth at home, completely
Hmm.
normal experience. Some of them transfer. They all come out feeling the same way, really empowered,
Yep.
informed, supported, and so happy with how their birth
Hmm.
unfolded. That's due to preparation. It's not going
And
with
it,
the flow.
and it's not a failure if you have to transfer. I think
No.
sometimes there's this idea of like, oh, if I don't get to do it at home, then it's not how I always. No, listen, the body's going to do what it's going to do.
Yeah.
And you have trusted people. Now, would I deliver at home by myself? Probably not. Could I? I don't know. Maybe. Sure. I have a bud. I have one of my friends, Colin, really cool guy. They've had 4 home births.
Oh,
Their third, she progressed so quickly that the midwife couldn't get there fast enough, and Colin ended up delivering the baby, which is
oh my God.
awesome.
Wow.
It's crazy. But I think it's just like it's understanding like this plan is there to keep everything safe.
Yeah.
It's to put boundaries and parameters, because when you know the boundaries you can operate in, there is immense freedom that
Yeah.
you can operate in. I used to tell my students this all the time. Not to sorry, Megan. I kind of live in the world of analogies.
I
I used
love
to tell. Well, I was before I was the principal of the school. I was a secondary middle school English and history teacher, Absolutely loved it. 13 and 14-year-olds had an absolute blast.
Oh,
But I used to always tell my students on day one, and the analogy applies here too. Listen, this is kind of like a racetrack. You put a race car on a track, yeah, it can go 200 miles an hour, no worries. It can go really fast to the zigs and zags, Formula One. That's great. It's designed and meant to do that. You take that same car and you put it out on the highway, we're gonna have some issues. Like
yeah,
there's going to be problems, but the same thing applies here. Listen, like you operate within those parameters, you can go really fast. Like there's a lot of stuff when you have a good plan, when you know what is supposed to happen. But if it doesn't happen, you know what the next best thing is.
yeah.
You know what the next step is. But with, I think most people are freaked out and scared about home birth because they're just like, well, what if something goes wrong? Well, listen, in the majority of the
Stuff can go wrong
cases,
at the hospital.
yeah, it
Stuff
could
can
go
go
just as
wrong
wrong.
every day.
Yeah. But in the majority of home births, at least from the midwives I've talked to and the midwives I've interviewed, the majority of them
Go
go as
right.
planned.
Yeah.
They go right.
And we
And it's
always
like
what if? But what if it
we're
all
putting,
goes well?
that's what it is. We like, I feel like so much emphasis is put on like,
The
I don't
negative.
want to take the risk. And it's like, well, yeah, but like, it's actually not that big of a risk.
No, this it's
God,
nuts. I know we could
yeah,
go on forever. We could
I
go
know. I
on.
know. I
It's
love
been
it.
so great, but I want to get on to your book before we end this podcast.
Please,
So
please.
we've spoke about the book name, spoke about where it's come from. Who is it for? Who do you want reading this?
Yeah. Yeah, this is for the partner who wants to be supportive and doesn't know how to be supportive. It's for the partner whose wife sits down next to him and says, I was thinking about having a home birth, and they have the exact same reaction that I had, and they say, huh? Why? That's a thing? It's for that person who hasn't grown up with this, doesn't know
Yeah,
that home birth is a viable option, doesn't understand that hospitals don't have to be the default,
yeah,
that there is a simpler, more natural, more ancient way of doing this that has been done since the dawn of time. And we have decided to change this in the last less than 100 years. And we have changed what has gone on since the inception of time.
yeah.
And there's a different way, and it's written for that man, it's written for that partner that doesn't understand this, that
I
wants to be supportive but doesn't know how to be supportive, that wants to show up well but doesn't know how to show up well. And it's written from a perspective of, listen, here's some of the things I did right, and here's a lot of the things I did wrong. But it's
Mm,
not just my story, it's the stories of dozens of different people, of voices of mothers, voices of midwives, voices of fathers, of saying, hey, here's some things I wish I had done differently in
mm.
hindsight. And it's for that man, for that partner who wants to show up well in this process, to be the support, to be that rock throughout this whole journey.
With no regrets and no divorce at the end of
That's definitely one of the goals.
it. Yeah.
That's
Oh, I love
definitely a
it.
goal. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
your book isn't out yet. It's coming out hopefully beginning of August, right?
Correct. Yep.
And
Yes.
people are going to be able to buy it all places.
This will be, yeah, most easily and most readily on Amazon.
Yeah,
I'll have direct links on my website. You can always find out more information. My website is goboilthewater.com. Can definitely sign up links, get your email on my list. Would love to be able to stay in contact. I also still have more of those forms. I'm still collecting stories from midwives, from doulas, from moms, from fathers. I'm still going to be collecting these stories for just
love it.
more continued research, for more stuff up on the website, for hopefully future editions of the book, of just like the more stories we can collect, the more we can continue to share the beauty of this. Social media, Go Boil the Water. Instagram is the main one.
I'm going to
But
pop it
those are,
all in the show notes.
please,
I'll pop it in
amazing,
the show notes. I
amazing.
have absolutely loved this conversation, and I just know
Agreed.
it's going to be so much help. I'm going to tag this episode in my online course. So all birth
I
partners,
love it.
I'm going to put you must listen to this because it's so incredible.
Amazing.
And it's just been a pleasure having you on and speaking to you.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining me today. And yeah, We'll see
That's
you
absolute.
soon.
Yeah, Megan, thank you. This has been just a dream. Absolute joy to get to do this. I'm very appreciative.
Perfect. Thank you.